Our next presenter, Mark Cohen, is going to tell us how not to hate your job. So please welcome Mark Cohen.
So I came back from the Christmas holidays back in January, and I run a fairly big team. And the first thing that happens is you get the wave of January resignations. That's what happens. So got me thinking, why do some people come back and they can't wait to resign? Other people come back and they can't wait to get started, but they're coming back to effectively the same job. It goes without saying, all the hygiene factors have to be in place. You have to be working in a geographic location that's good for where you live. You need to be working with people you like in an industry you enjoy. And you need to be paid fairly, in your opinion, according to the value you deliver to your company. Having said that, though, there's a book by Dan Pink called Drive, in which he talks about how performance-based remuneration doesn't necessarily motivate people, especially for cognitive tasks, which most of you would be doing. So what then can you do to keep engaged for longer? Big question. First and foremost, you need to set boundaries. You need to respect your hours. If you're willing to work at night, that's great, you should do it. If you're not willing to work at night, you need to be careful about managing expectations. If you start off doing that and then you decide to change your mind, people expect things by the next morning and you've got a whole expectation problem to manage. Same thing if you're taking time off. Go off to Comic-Con, be the best stormtrooper you can be, get out there and have a lot of fun. Don't be the guys checking email, SMS, phoning the office, because all that's going to happen is one of two things. Your mates are not going to invite you next year because you took them down, and you're going to hate the time off. Even more so when you go out with your partner. Don't be that person. Don't be the person who has this barrier coming up between you and the people you're talking to, which is literally your work invading into your quality time, breaking down your relationship. All that this does is makes your partner and you both resent your work for interrupting you. Sooner or later, you're going to need friends. It's better to have the credit in the trust bank up front rather than waiting till the end. When you've got the credit, you can call on someone for a favor. So go to the social events, do the team building, go for the lunches, and participate. You need to always be honest. This is not saying don't steal. That's a pretty good idea. But it's saying when someone asks for an opinion, be true. Represent yourself with all the belief that you have. Otherwise, people think you're not quite what you should be, and also you're not representing yourself truly, so you don't feel appreciated. Stress messes with your head, long-term stress even more so. Keep an eye on your stress. It affects your thinking patterns, it affects your tolerance for other people, it affects all kinds of things, even your physical health. Great way to manage stress is to do physical exercise. I don't know if you want to get all Kama Sutra, but that's another story. Physical exercise, you burn off the fight or flight chemicals that build up in your bloodstream, but you also create cognitive space to think and to process the things that happen during the day. Boring stuff sucks, and there's nothing you can do to trick your brain into thinking boring stuff is interesting. But what you can do is choose the golden nuggets, the things you really like, and use them as a reward for getting the boring stuff done. That way you can tell yourself, if I get this done, I get to pursue this goal, which keeps me on the path that I want to follow. Pursue mastery. You want to be the best person at what you do in your team, in the country, in the world, in your entire industry. This is all about being the go-to person. When you're the go-to person, you're more likely to be referred to for an opinion, which makes you more likely to be promoted. Once you've become the perfect cog in the machine, make sure that you start understanding how people rely on you, what they do with the work that you do, how what you do collectively allows the company to proceed. This way you can commit to the purpose of the company instead of just trying to pursue profit. Profit's kind of like trying to chase happiness. You can't pursue happiness, you have to live a fulfilling life, and happiness is a side effect. Same as you can commit to indexing the world's data and making it available. That's a purpose that's bigger than yourself or the company. When you're chasing that purpose, you understand very clearly how you fit into that picture. Close down all the distractions. There's a great book called The Paradox of Choice by a guy named someone who I forget, and Barry Schwartz. And what he talks about is how people who are offered more options, no matter what they choose, they end up less happy. So find a mentor who can guide you through those discussions and keep you on a path that you've chosen up front. They'll tell you what the next step in your career is. They're not going to teach you the technical details of your job. That's your coach or whoever else you work with. The mentor is going to help you pursue your long-term goals. Now, I don't like to be the one to break it to you, but statistically speaking, of the 500 people in the room here, you're probably not the next Steve Jobs. Each and every one of you is unique, but each and every one of you is unique. So try and bear that in mind when you're working as a part of a team. Try and keep that on your mind when you're as part of a team, and don't turn into the stabby person when someone asks you to do something that you don't really like. The stabby person doesn't get invited to be part of the cool projects, they don't get invited to the team events, and they're definitely not going to be promoted because nobody likes to work with them. Try and keep your perspective when things go wrong, because inevitably they will, And when they do, if you react emotionally, you're not going to do well dealing with it. So if you find that you can't react without emotion, go home, sleep on it, plan the discussion, come back in the next morning and talk with calm. Last but not least, every job you ever do, at some point it's going to end. When you find yourself at that point and you've crossed that line in your head, put all your energy into finding that next big thing and keep pursuing that mastery instead of hanging on to what you want to let go of. Thanks.